Today, we're really zeroing in on something critical for your future, especially if you're an employee of Morton Grove School District 70. We've gone through a bunch of sources detailing your 403B plan, and, well, we're set to unpack some key things just for you.
Yeah, what immediately jumps out is that Morton Grove District 70 actually offers 7 different 403B providers.
7? Wow.
Yeah, 7. That's quite a menu of choices. And the sources really highlight that figuring out which one is best, well, it can be pretty challenging.
Exactly, and that leads to sort of the core issue we found. It seems many educators, maybe unknowingly, are picking high-fee providers right off that approved list, a costly mistake. So this deep dive is really about helping you see the real cost, the long-term cost, and how you can maybe sidestep some common traps. Let's get into it. The sources we looked at for Morton Grove, they kept hammering this one point: the cost of the problem. It's not like investing is free, right? There are always costs, but it's the difference in those costs and how it affects your retirement savings. That's the kicker.
And that really begs the question, how much difference can, what looks like a small percentage actually make?
Right, like 1%, 2%. Seems small.
Well, according to the materials, just an extra 1 or 2% in fees each year. Over 35 years, that could mean losing out on over $200,000 in your total investment value.
Wow. Over $200,000.
Yeah. Think about what that means for your retirement. I mean, that's a completely different level of security, maybe retiring earlier. It's significant. And the problem is most districts don't offer much like unbiased education. So often the only person you hear from is a salesperson.
Which can lead straight to those high fees, and sometimes things like surrender charges.
Exactly. Those penalties, if you try to move your money too soon, they can really lock you in.
Okay, so that's a staggering potential loss. If the problem's clear, what's the next step for someone listening from Morton Grove? How do you avoid this? First, it seems you've got to understand your choices within the Morton Grove plan itself. You've got, what, mutual funds and annuities?
Correct. Those are the 2 main buckets. And look, there are good options in there, but telling let's say, the good from the bad providers is vital, especially since costs aren't always super obvious.
Right. Transparency isn't always there.
So connecting this to the bigger picture, it really boils down to knowing the difference between low-cost providers and high-cost providers, specifically for your district. The sources basically give the low-cost providers a pass. Think mutual fund providers like Fidelity Investments, Vanguard Investments.
Okay. What makes them pass?
Generally, no upfront sales commissions, no redemption fees, access to low-cost mutual funds, index funds.
Yeah.
Things with low expense ratios. That's just the annual management fee. And crucially, they're advisors. They're typically held to a fiduciary standard.
Fiduciary standard, meaning they legally have to act in my best interest, right? Not just sell me something suitable.
Precisely. It's about your best interest, not theirs. It's a higher standard than just suitability.
Okay, so those are the pass options. What about the fail category? What makes a provider high cost, and what should, our listeners look out for?
Good question. The high-cost providers, as listed in the sources, well, they include some mutual fund providers like Invesco, Oppenheimer, Lincoln Investment Planning, the Legend Group. These often come with those upfront or deferred sales charges, sometimes called loads, plus redemption fees, surrender charges like we mentioned, and sometimes 12B1 fees.
12B1 fees, what are those?
Basically marketing and distribution fees that get baked into the fund's costs. So you're kind of paying for them to sell the fund even after you've bought it.
Huh, okay.
And then you've got the annuities product providers, like Equitable used to be AXA. These are typically insurance companies selling annuity contracts. They tend to have, higher investment fund fees inside the annuity, more potential surrender charges, and often high insurance-related fees like a mortality and expense fee. And here's a really big flag. The reps for these high-cost options, often not fiduciaries.
So their advice might be suitable, but maybe not the absolute best, lowest cost option for me.
That's the potential conflict, yes. Their incentive structure might be different.
That distinction feels really key for your financial future, especially with the choices right there in the Morton Grove plan. It's not just fees, it's who's truly on your side.
Absolutely. So to make sure you're making informed choices, you've got to ask questions. Seek advice from people who can really help you understand. You need to know how your advisor gets paid, and definitely ask, are you a fiduciary?
Okay, but that can feel like a lot to navigate alone. If someone's feeling overwhelmed by all this, did the sources mention any specific help? Yes, they did. They pointed to a firm that actually specializes in K-12 retirement plans like the 403B. It's called Warwick Valley Financial Advisors.
Ah, yes, Warwick Valley.
And importantly, they are held to that fiduciary standard.
Right.
And they don't earn commissions on the products they recommend.
Right. They offer a free consultation, no obligation, and a complimentary 403(b) review. It's a way to get clarity on your specific situation, see if you're really on the right track.
How can people reach them?
You can contact them directly or just call them at 845-981-7300. And it's worth mentioning their firm actually has a partnership agreement with Fidelity.
Yeah.
Which, as we said, is one of those low-cost providers available right there on the Morton Grove District 70 list.
Okay, good to know. So wrapping up, the real question for you listening is, what stands out to you about your own 403(b) plan now? And maybe more importantly, are you ready to take another look? Really dig into those fees and see how they might be shaping your retirement.